I left the pen uncapped beside the empty sleeve and opened the doorbell app with my thumb. Last night's grid blinked into squares of porch light and shadow. I scrolled to the clip stamped 8:12 p.m. and pressed play. My brother's voice, low. "He won't notice till after the wire," a woman answered, muffled by the scarf around her chin. "She just signs." The handle turned in the video. The door didn't open. I saved the clip and moved it into the folder where I keep proofs, the place where the deed had lived until someone decided I wouldn't need it. I called the notary back from the missed call list. She picked up on the second ring, bright and careful. "Court Square coffee at 10, she said again, like I hadn't heard her the first time. "I heard you," I said. "I just want you to know I'll be there in person with my ID. If anyone shows up claiming to be me before I arrive, please pause and make a refusal note. I'll sign that note." There was a beat. "Understood," she said. "I'll keep a clean journal line for you. If someone tries to sign for you, I can note a refusal to proceed. Read back the last 2 of your appointment entry," I said. She did. I wrote them in the margin and circled them once. We hung up politely. I took the blue home file back out and spread it on the hallway runner. Property tax bill, homeowner's policy, a printout of the preliminary title from months ago. I slid the paper closer under the lamp. In my mother's tidy, tipped-over handwriting, someone had penciled, "Transfer tomorrow." No initials, no date, just the word that made my jaw sit straighter. I called Escrow on speaker and waited through the hold music. "This is the officer on your file," a woman said when the line clicked. Her voice had the cadence of checklists. "How can I help?" "I'm reporting suspected impersonation connected to a deed transfer," I said. "I have a notary confirmation for tomorrow at 10 at Court Square Coffee, and I have a porch clip at 8:12 p.m. of my brother planning a wire without me. I need an immediate hold. No wires, no disbursements." "Send me what you have," she said. "I'm emailing you the notary voicemail and the porch clip," I said. "And I want a written freeze note on the file. Timestamp 1:14 p.m. She didn't argue. "I can place a provisional hold pending review," she said. "I'll annotate the file and alert title. I'll read the hold language back for you before I lock it." "Good," I said. "And lock the prelim. Add that no transfer can proceed without my participation. I'll need you to read back the last 2 on your internal alert so I can note them." I forwarded the audio and the clip, then stayed quiet while her keyboard stuttered through the line. She came back and read a sentence that sounded like a gate coming down. "Hold placed, funds frozen, further contact through the officer only." When she gave me the last 2, I wrote them down and underlined them. She promised an email at 1:14 p.m. and said title would mirror the hold. I ended the call and slid everything into a new stack. Sticky note with the words "freeze the file," the porch clip still image, the notary time, the last 2 from her journal, the last 2 from Escrow's alert. I don't love paper, but paper sits where I put it and doesn't pretend to be anything else. My phone buzzed with a family group chat, birthday emojis for grandma tomorrow, talk of cake flavor, a sideways comment about moving things along before fall. I watched the dots blink and go still. I didn't type. I opened a new message to myself and dictated a list. County recorder, certified copy, affidavit of concern, notice of pending action ready to file, mobile recorder on standby by noon. I added quiet witness and photocopy ID and bring a second pen. My voice stayed flat even while my hands moved faster. In the kitchen, I cleared a corner of the table and lined up what I would carry in the morning. ID on top, 2 fresh envelopes, 1 manila folder labeled trust, even though it was empty for now. I set the notary's number near the edge and the coffee shop address under it. My phone screen dimmed and showed my face. I didn't look angry. I looked like someone who had already decided. I called the title rep whose card lived under a magnet on the fridge. "I'm asking you to mirror Escrow's hold," I said. "Cloud on title suspected. Please annotate that any transfer requires my physical signature, in-person ID, and a second witness." "We can place an alert," he said. "I'll put a courtesy note for the examiner. Do you want me to read anything back?" "Read the alert title," I said. "Then give me the last 2 on the internal note, so I don't have to ask twice later." He did. I wrote them next to the others. My page looked like a quiet map. In the hall again, I looked at the open safe and felt a simple, measurable absence. The deed had been here. Now it was not. I thought of my mother's pencil note, the way she writes in straight lines, even on unlined paper. I pictured the coffee shop tomorrow, the small metal stamp, the moment a stranger would try to be me. I didn't rehearse the confrontation. I rehearsed the language. "I declined to sign," I said out loud, just once, to the doorway. I am present. Please make a refusal note. From the living room, my brother's text arrived against the quiet. Don't make this a thing. I let it sit. The porch clip answered for me. I printed the notary's voicemail transcript and clipped it to the front. I set an alarm for 9:20 so I would stand outside Court Square with enough time to see faces as they came in. I poured water and took a sip, then set the glass down exactly on the coaster. Small, normal, controlled things. The hold music from Escrow had lodged in my ear, and for a second I heard it again. Faint. Then my phone lit up for real and vibrated across the wood. Subject line: Hold confirmed, investigation opened. The time read 1:14 p.m. on the dot. I tapped it open and watched the words resolve into a sentence that would keep its edge if I needed a deputy to read it back to me. I read the subject line once more, then clicked through to the portal from the bookmarked icon on my home screen. The summary page loaded with its neat columns. Deposit received $5,200. Signing scheduled, seller packet, pending. A draft settlement sat to the side with a net-to-seller line under my mother's name. $209,000 spelled out like a congratulation. I pressed my finger to the glass and zoomed in. A revision tag blinked. I clicked it and let the system read out the reference. I asked the officer in a quick message to confirm the last two on the draft, and when she answered, I wrote them down 83 and circled them once. The blue home file waited on the runner where I'd left it. I slid the preliminary title printout free and held it under the hall lamp. Our names sat there like they always had, and under them, in my mother's tidy tilt, the pencil words, transfer tomorrow. I didn't rub them out. I traced the graphite with a fingernail and put the paper in the proof stack. The empty plastic sleeve was still warm from my hand. My phone chimed, softer than the earlier vibration. The notary's number flashed at the top, and a text followed the voicemail from before. Confirming 10 o'clock at Court Square Coffee, bring a government ID. I typed back, I'll be present. If anyone attempts to sign as me before I arrive, please make a refusal note and keep a clean journal line. She sent a thumbs up and one more line. I'll read the journal entry to you when you get here. I wrote a note. Ask her to read the last two again at the table. I reopened the doorbell app to make sure I wasn't imagining the words I'd heard. The porch scene at 8:12 p.m. played in the small rectangle, the angle low, the audio clearer than it had any right to be. My brother's whisper. He won't notice till after the wire. The woman with the scarf again. She just signs. They stayed on the welcome mat, never touching the handle. I trimmed the silence at the end and tapped share. Not to anyone else, but to the account I use as a vault. I wanted a copy that lived where only I could reach it. The upload bar crept across and gave me the small satisfaction of a checkmark. Are you busy tonight? My mother texted from the family thread like she hadn't penciled the future in my name. Grandma dinner, 7 o'clock. Confetti emojis spilled under it from cousins. Someone posted a cake photo from last year. I typed nothing. I opened a new message to the escrow officer instead. For your file. Portal shows draft settlement with net to seller to my mother. Amount $209,000. Please keep hold status, and note that the buyer's deposit of $5,200 should not be applied without my written consent. The officer's reply arrived with office politeness. Acknowledged. Hold remains in place. I'll attach this to the investigation. Alert mirrored to title. In the kitchen, I wrote 3 words on a sticky note. Freeze the file and pressed it to the front of the proofs folder. It looked plain, ordinary. It looked like a stop sign. The phone rang with a contact photo I didn't love. My brother didn't wait for hello. What did you do to escrow? He said. Paper rustled like he was walking while he talked. We're already in contract. You're late to everything, and now you're late to this. I asked the officer to place a hold, I said. There will be no wires. There will be no signing without me. It's Mom's sale, he said. You don't even like that house. It's my house too, I said. And it isn't a sale when someone tries to wear my face. I kept my voice level. Bring what you think you have to Court Square at 10. The notary can look at both of us. You can watch her close her stamp case. Don't be dramatic, he said, the word he always uses when I read something back exactly as written. We're fixing this before fall. Be reasonable. I am, I said. The reasonable thing is a refusal note and a recorded trust. After that, you can take any arguments to civil court. I didn't wait for him to answer. I ended the call and let the quiet knit itself back together. I clicked open the portal one more time and printed the summary page to carry with me. Not because paper is better than screens, but because an officer or a deputy will hold paper without asking for a charger. I wrote the notary's time in the corner, 10 o'clock, and under it the email time, 1:14 p.m., so I wouldn't have to say them twice. I slotted the printout behind the sticky and laid a pen on top, the same pen I'd left uncapped when the day turned. The hall clock sounded the long line of the hour. I went to the front door and slid the deadbolt back and forth once, nothing more than a habit. The welcome mat stared up with its plain hello. On the screen, the porch view refreshed and settled into its same frame of railings and hedges. The kitchen smelled like lemon cleaner and the last of the coffee. My phone, face down on the table, buzzed again. A softer tremor this time, the kind that means a name is waiting. I turned the phone over. The officer's name glowed across the glass, steady as a stamp. "I have your file," she said, checklist calm. "You reported possible impersonation?" "Yes," I said. "I'm sending 2 attachments. The porch clip from 8:12 p.m. and the notary's voicemail confirming 10 o'clock at Court Square Coffee for a deed transfer in my name." I tapped share, then forwarded the audio while I spoke. The portal shows a buyer's deposit of $5,200 and a draft settlement with a net to seller under my mother's name, $209,000. "I do not consent." "I'm receiving them now," she said. I heard keys in the background, a muted printer. "I can change status to hold no wires, no disbursements pending investigation. Do you want title notified to mirror the alert?" "Yes," I said. "And please lock the prelim. Note that no transfer can proceed without my participation in person." "I'll place the alert and read it back," she said. "One moment." The line went quiet in that careful way that means someone is doing exactly what you asked and will tell you when it is done. I laid a palm flat on the proofs folder and watched the doorbell feed reset to a still frame of the porch rail. "Status changed to hold," she said when she came back. "Funds cannot move." I've added a line. "Seller signature must be verified in person with government ID. Title will receive a courtesy alert to lock the prelim." "Read me the last 2 on the internal hold code," I said. "The last 2 are 31, she said. I repeated them once for her recording and once for mine. 31, I said. I wrote them beside the sticky where I'd already circled freeze the file. "Please also promise a written note on the file at a specific time. I can push an email at 1:14 p.m. that will show the freeze language," she said. "It will include a reference to investigation opened." "Good," I said. "Read the freeze language so I know what I'll be looking for." She read it. Simple sentences with verbs that did what they said. No wires, no disbursements, hold status, investigation opened. She didn't add extra words. I didn't need them. "Anything else?" she asked. "Yes," I said. "Add that any scheduled signing is paused pending identity confirmation. The notary will make a refusal note if anyone attempts to sign as me." "I'll add it," she said. "Do you want the last 2 of the title alert as well?" "Please." "The courtesy note to title shows a tail with 90, she said. "Thank you," I said. "I'll expect your email at 1:14 p.m. We hung up politely. I forwarded the same 2 attachments to myself again, a habit that keeps proofs in more than one place, and slid the phone under my palm so I could feel its small weight. In the kitchen light, the preliminary title printout looked older than it was. My mother's pencil transfer tomorrow tilted across our names like a hand at a throat. I didn't erase it. I wanted it visible when someone asked why I'd moved fast. The family thread pinged with a string of candles and 7 o'clock at Le Compas. Someone else sent a map pin. My cousin added, "Please be on time this year." I locked the screen before the typing dots finished their thought. The lemon cleaner on the counter smelled faintly like rind and ammonia. It grounded me more than the text did. The title rep's line took 2 rings. "I'm calling to confirm a mirrored alert," I said. "Escrow just placed a hold. Please lock the prelim and annotate that no transfer can proceed without my presence." "We've received the courtesy note," the rep said. "I see hold mirrored. I'll push an examiner alert en route for review. Do you want a read back?" "Yes," I said. He read the alert caption, the mirrored status, the requirement for my in-person ID. Then he gave me a courtesy tale I didn't ask for, like a ribbon on top. I wrote down only what I needed. When he offered to email a screen print, I said no. A simple note is enough. I have a deputy who will read it if I need him to. He understood. By the kitchen window, the street sat quiet in the way it does mid-afternoon. Every car exactly where someone left it. I checked the notary text again 10 o'clock at Court Square Coffee and tapped out one more line. "I will bring a witness." She sent back a simple, "Journal ready." My brother's name skated across the top of the screen before I could flip it over. "Don't involve strangers," he wrote. "You're making it messy. Bring your best version of clean," I typed, and then deleted it. I put the phone down face first and stood long enough to feel my heels on the tile. On the table, I added 2 fresh envelopes to the stack. Not because I had anything to mail yet, but because the shape of preparation has its own weight. I put my ID on top so my hand would find it without thinking in the morning. I wrote 2 lines for myself. County recorder before lunch. Certified copy request. Affidavit ready. The words were small and even. Nothing like my mother's tilt. The oven clicked as it cooled from nothing. The clock hands moved their slow distance. I didn't try to fill the space between now and 1:14 p.m. I let it exist. The house sounded like a house again. When the minute turned, the phone buzzed once the precise, clipped vibration, my settings use for office mail. I brought it close and watched the header unroll into text. The subject wasn't decorative. It said exactly what it was. The body made it plainer still. Escrow frozen. Investigation opened. I read it twice and felt it settle, the way a door settles into its frame when you close it with an even hand. I put the email down like a paperweight and took the proofs folder to the car. By 2 o'clock, I was under the fluorescent lights at the county recorder, the kind that make every surface honest. I took a number, waded through one couple arguing softly about a lien, and stepped to the counter when the clerk looked up. "I need a certified copy of the last recorded deed on my property," I said. "I can give you the address and my name for the index." "ID, please," she said. I slid it over and recited the street. Her keyboard made a small, certain sound. "I've got you," she said. "There's a prior deed of record in both names. I'll print the certified copy. There's also a prepared but unrecorded instrument in the queue, no public image yet." "Prepared but unrecorded," I repeated. "So it's waiting to be stamped." "Waiting to be examined," she said. "It hasn't been taken in. If you're concerned, you can file an affidavit, and I can place an internal note for the examiner." "I'm filing," I said. "Please also note that escrow is on hold, and identity verification is in dispute." She nodded. "Counter search and certified copy are $32, she said. "Card or cash?" "Waiting to be examined," she said. "It hasn't been taken in. If you're concerned, you can file an affidavit, and I can place an internal note for the examiner." "Say that last part again," I said. "Internal note ends in 90, she said, slower. "It's how we find it if someone calls." "Thank you," I said. I wrote the word 90 in my margin and drew a neat box around it. She came back with a rubber stamp pad and a short stack of forms. "Here's the affidavit of concern," she said. "Describe the potential misrepresentation. Attach any exhibits if you'd like. If you need to give notice to parties, you can ask for a conformed cover sheet so you have something to serve. Submission window closes at 4. "Conformed cover sheet and a fraud affidavit, please," I said. "I'll attach a still from a porch clip and a notary confirmation for tomorrow at 10. She slid the blanks through the slot. "Fill these. I'll stamp them as received." She pointed to a sign taped above the plexiglass. "Window hours, 8 to 4. If there's a rush recording attempt in between, the examiner will see the internal note and pause intake until a supervisor reviews the file." "That's what I want," I said. A visible pause and a phone call rather than a stamp. At the side counter, I wrote cleanly, not fast, the way you do when you know someone will read every line. I described the notary at Court Square Coffee at 10, the escrow email at 1:14 p.m., and the phrase from the porch at 8:12 p.m. I didn't guess who wore the scarf. I kept to what the record would hold. I clipped a small screenshot of the porch still and the notary's confirmation and signed once. "Do you need a deputy to take a statement?" the clerk asked when I came back. It was the kind of question you only get if your face looks like you've already decided. "Not yet," I said. "I want the paper to move first." She read my affidavit the way examiners read, lips moving without sound. Then she set it under the stamp and brought her hand down evenly. The ink came up crisp, received in a box that would look the same to anyone who held it. She wrote a short internal line and looked at me. "My note ends in 90, she said again, like a handoff. "Good," I said. "What would you like me to do with the conformed cover sheet?" "Staple it to the front of your notice of pending action," she said. "If you serve it, keep your proof. If someone asks later why we paused an intake, this is what they'll read." She handed over the certified copy of the last deed. The gold seal flared briefly in the light. The names sat the way they always had. I checked the vesting, the legal description, the date of recordation. Nothing had moved on paper yet. Everything else had tried to move around it. "If a mobile recorder comes at noon tomorrow, and there's a trust deed to record," I said, "will your window take it with the affidavit attached?" "We can take it," she said. "If exam sees a conflict, they'll hold and call. If you want certainty, bring a clean copy and your ID. If the trust instrument references your current vesting clearly, it helps." "It will," I said. "Thank you for being specific." She smiled the way public servants smile when someone meets them at the level of the form. "We like specifics," she said. I stepped aside to the wall and took a breath that was more about air than feeling. The certified copy slid into the proofs folder behind my sticky note. I angled the affidavit so the stamp showed at the top edge. Sometimes a stamp is a better sentence than anything you could say out loud. At the door, my phone pulsed once. "Grandma, dinner, 7. The thread said again, like a metronome set to family. I walked out into the hallway where the light was less honest and typed a different message instead. "Meet me tomorrow 9:45 at Court Square Coffee," I wrote to my cousin, the one who keeps a bar card in his wallet like a spare key. "Bring a clean notary journal and a witness. I want a second set of eyes when the stamp stops." He typed back fast enough that the dots barely lived. "I'll be there," he wrote. "I'll bring a witness and an extra pen." The elevator doors slid open and reflected me back. I pressed the proofs folder flat against my side and watched my phone screen go dim. My cousin's name still across it like a promise. I drove home with the certified copy on the passenger seat, the gold seal catching light at stoplights like a small warning. In the kitchen, I slid the proofs folder open and made a new tab with a single word on it: trust. I called the estate lawyer I'd interviewed once and liked because he never over-explained. He answered with a clean hello. "I need an expedited revocable trust," I said. "Grant deed into the trust, vesting to match the current record exactly. I have an escrow hold, a notary at Court Square Coffee at 10, and a porch clip at 8:12 p.m. "Good facts," he said. "We can move today. Retainer is $1,850 for the trust packet and the deed into trust." "I'll wire it," I said. I opened my banking app while we spoke and set the amount. "Steady. Read me the last 2 of your trust account reference," I said. He did, and I wrote them down 42 next to a box I'd left empty on purpose. "Wire is sent," I said. "My bank shows a confirmation with 42 at the end." "We'll start papers," he said. "Dictate this back to me so it lands in your mouth for tomorrow." I declined to sign. "I'm present. I'm reporting suspected misrepresentation." "Keep it in that order. Ask the notary to write a refusal note and be ready to request a journal entry reference. Don't argue, just ask." "I declined to sign," I said once, like a practice line. "I'm present. I'm reporting suspected misrepresentation." "Good," he said. "Now, trust terms, title. Your name, family trust, date, today. Trustee, you. Successor, you can add later. Transfer by grant deed from you to you as trustee. Legal description per last recorded instrument." "Use the recorder's legal exactly," I said. "They like specifics." "They do," he said. I heard him type the way a person types when they are building something you can live inside. "My paralegal will book a mobile recorder for tomorrow. Recording fee is $96. We'll also prepare 2 certified mail packets with notice of the trust transfer, one addressed to your mother, one to your brother at $18.40, each postage included." 2 packets, I said. $18.40 each. I'll want tracking." "You'll get slips with tracking you can speak aloud," he said. "Ask the clerk to read the last 2. We'll attach the notary refusal, and the porch still as exhibits to the trust deed for internal reference, not to record." "Understood," I said. "Do you want the escrow freeze email?" "Keep it in your file," he said. "We'll reference escrow hold at 1:14 p.m. in the narrative of your affidavit if we need court. For the recorder, the deed into trust is clean. No color, just vesting." The paralegal came on, brisk and kind. "I've booked the mobile recorder to meet you by noon," she said. "She'll call 30 minutes out. She'll need your government ID and a witness, though she can provide one if your cousin can't stay. She charges a small witness fee. We've covered it under the retainer." "I'll bring my own witness," I said. 9:45 tomorrow at Court Square Coffee. He'll be with me for the notary refusal if needed." "Perfect," she said. "I'm emailing you a draft of the grant deed from you to yourself as trustee. Please check the spelling exactly as it appears on your certified copy and confirm." "Read the vesting back," I said. She did, word for word. It matched the gold-sealed page. I said yes. "We'll courier the trust packet to you this evening," she said. "In case the courier misses you, I'll give the mobile recorder a clean copy to carry. Recording fee, again, $96. Bring a debit card or exact cash. The recorder will walk it to the counter after you sign." "Add a note for the recorder," I said. The county clerk stamped my affidavit received and placed an internal note that ends in 90. If intake sees conflict, they'll pause and call. I want her to know that's expected. "I'll include it," she said. "Anything else?" "Yes," I said. "If the buyer's agent calls me, what do you want me to say?" "Nothing more than the status," she said. "Escrow is on hold. Investigation opened. Please direct all questions to the officer. You are proceeding with a trust transfer. Do not negotiate. Do not explain. I can do that, I said. The lawyer came back. One more thing, he said. If your mother confronts you tonight at dinner, you don't have to make a speech. You can say, "We'll speak at the coffee shop at 10. Then stop. If they escalate, you keep your body still. The only thing we need from tonight is a clean morning." I hear you, I said. I looked at the sticky on my folder freeze the file and felt how flat the paper lay. Call me after the notary declines, he said. We'll time the mobile recorder to arrive just after you leave Court Square. Noon at your kitchen table is ideal. The recorder will bring conformed copies for you to serve with certified mail. I'll be ready, I said. We hung up politely. In the trust tab, I slid in 3 fresh sheets. The draft grant deed, the trust summary, and a checklist the paralegal had already sent ID, witness, 2 certified letters, recorder fee, tracking slips. I read the grant deed aloud the way a person reads a promise. From me to myself as trustee. Legal description per the last recorded instrument. No adjectives, no commentary. I signed the draft once in pencil and laid a blue pen on top for the real thing. The family thread chimed with 7 o'clock, and a photo of last year's cake bubbled up like tradition. I silenced the thread without opening it. On my counter, the lemon smell held even with the window cracked. I practiced the 3 lines one more time, quiet enough that only the sink could hear. I declined to sign. I'm present. I'm reporting suspected misrepresentation. The words fit exactly. They didn't need decoration. When the courier texted that she was 15 minutes out, I put the kettle on and set the proofs folder near the door. The mobile recorder's appointment sat in my calendar marked noon. The notary's 10 o'clock glowed just above it. My cousin's name made a bright line between them. I set an alarm for 6 a.m., printed 2 copies of everything, and taped the 8:12 p.m. screenshot on top. By 7 I was sliding into the long banquette at La Compasse, the one under the framed bullfights. My mother took the chair at the head as if someone had put a place card there. My grandmother smiled and patted the table with the flat of her hand. My brother raised 2 fingers for cocktails before the server even set down water. "Birthday, girl," my mother said brightly, clinking the fork against a glass. "To moving things along before fall." She glanced at me as if the room wouldn't notice the look if she kept the smile on. "Tequila for the table," my brother told the server. "She's not drinking," he added, nodding at me, deciding out loud. "I'll have club soda," I said. "Lime." I kept my hands still in my lap. The proofs folder was at home, but the weight of it felt present anyway. They talked over the menu like a committee. Who would share the paella? Who still remembered what Abuela used to make? Who deserved a night off? My mother narrated the future in soft focus downsizing, simplifying, freeing up capital. She said capital like it was something stored in jars. "Before fall," my brother said again, taking the word like a ball and tossing it back. "We'll be out clean. No headaches. He'll never notice till after the wire." He caught himself, then laughed as if it were nothing. "I mean, nobody will notice." "I noticed," I said. The lime cut a clean line through the soda. I let the server slide the bread down without touching it. "Escrow is on hold. Investigation opened at 1:14 p.m. My mother's smile didn't break. It hardened. "Don't bring business to dinner," she said. "Tonight is for family." "It is family," I said, "and it is business. Both are on the check." The server returned with plates. My grandmother told a story about the first cake she ever baked in this country, and how it tilted because the oven wasn't level. Everyone laughed in the right places. I watched my mother collect little nods from around the table the way she collects receipts in her wallet, flat, folded, never crumpled. My brother leaned in. "You make everything harder than it needs to be," he said quietly, under the noise. "Be reasonable. We've already got a buyer. The deposit's in. $5,200 sitting there because you want to perform a principal." "It isn't a performance," I said. "It's a hold." I didn't raise my voice. "At 10 tomorrow, I'll be at Court Square Coffee with my ID. If anyone tries to wear my face, the notary will make a refusal note." "Don't be dramatic," he said, and smiled for the room like we were talking about parking. "Bring whoever's advising you," I said. "Bring your best version of clean." Dessert came with a candle stuck at an angle and a scribble of chocolate across the plate that said happy. My grandmother blew the flame and closed her eyes for exactly the length of a wish. When she opened them, she squeezed my wrist, light as a signature. My mother lifted the knife for the first slice. "We are moving forward," she said, as if she were carving the sentence into the frosting. "Before fall. Before 10 o'clock tomorrow," I said evenly. "You should decide how you want to look when the stamp case closes." She set the knife down with care. You think posture impresses anyone? She said. You think clerks and officers care if you stand up straight? She smiled to the table. She's always loved rules. I like specifics, I said. Clerks do too. The server set the leather folder beside my grandmother, like the bill could choose who it loved. My mother reached. My brother reached. I set my card down first with a small fingertip on the edge so it wouldn't slide. 1 check, I said. We're splitting, my mother said at the same time. The server looked back and forth with the expression people wear when they're being asked to drive a car with 2 steering wheels. However you'd like, she said gently. She lifted my card and turned toward the register. Don't be ridiculous, my brother said. You don't have to do that. We're splitting, my mother said at the same time. 1 check, I said. The server returned with the book. Total is $406.50, she said, careful, like she knew I liked numbers said out loud. Card last 2 are $29. Do you still want it as 1 check? My brother made a little show of reaching for the folder anyway, something between a grab and a gesture. The server kept her hand steady and let it rest beside my elbow. Tip line is here, she said, tapping the blank. She didn't look at my brother. She looked at me. My mother's smile had become a pose. You don't need to make a scene, she said. There's no scene, I said. There's a sentence. I wrote numbers cleanly. A fair percentage. No flourish. No note. The pen felt like a small stamp. Split it, my brother said to the server, out of turn. It's already run, she said, polite but final. Do you need separate receipts? No, I said. I need only one thing. I slid the book back across. Escrow is on hold. No one is wiring anything. I let the words sit on the linen like a place card. My grandmother cleared her throat. Tomorrow, she said softly, not to anyone in particular. Tomorrow, I said. Court Square coffee. I looked at my mother. 10 o'clock. She lifted the water glass and held it midair as if someone might clink it, then set it down without drinking. We'll talk, she said. We'll document, I said. I signed once, tipped fairly, and told them I would see them in the morning at Court Square coffee. Court Square coffee smelled like beans and paper. I got there 10 minutes early with my cousin beside me, bar card in his wallet, and a quiet witness who nodded once and took the corner chair. The notary waved us over to the big wooden table by the window and set out 2 blank acknowledgement forms, a small stamp case, and her journal open to a clean line. Good morning, she said. Which one of you is signing? I'm the owner, I said. I'm here to confirm identity and, if needed, to request a refusal to proceed. She looked relieved the way professionals do when someone speaks their language. Journal's ready, she said. ID when you're ready. She touched the thumbprint pad but didn't slide it forward. The bell over the door rang. My mother walked in with my brother's fiancé half a step behind, scarf high against her cheeks. My mother's smile was the dinner smile, bright enough for an audience. She's just late, she told the notary, and slid an ID across, not looking at me. We can start the signing. I'm not late, I said. I placed my ID on the table and turned it so the photo faced the notary. I decline to sign any transfer. I am present. I am reporting suspected misrepresentation. I kept my hands still. The notary looked at the 2 faces, then at the ID in front of her. She didn't touch the stamp. I need to compare in good light, she said. Neutral. She angled the cards toward the window and studied them the way examiners study, line by line, not in a rush. My mother kept her voice sugar. We're trying to get this done before fall, she said. She knows that. I know what the record shows, I said. Escrow is on hold. 10 o'clock is for identity. My brother came in then, breathless without meaning to be, and took a step like he owned the space. Just do it, he said to the notary. We have an offer. We're moving along. She can sign a power of... No, I said. There's no power. There's me. The notary set the 2 cards down, one atop the other, and folded her hands around the stamp case without opening it. I'm not proceeding, she said. I'm recording a refusal. I will note that the owner is present and declined to sign, that an attempted signing by another party was presented, and that I compared faces and did not have satisfactory evidence to continue. My mother's smile bent at the edges. She's making this harder than it needs to be, she told the notary, as if the notary were a cashier who could be charmed. We have capital tied up. This isn't about capital, I said. It's about your ID sitting in front of a stamp that won't open. The fiancée didn't speak. She kept the scarf high, eyes down, hands under the table like she could be less present if she took up less air. The witness folded her arms and watched the door like she'd been told to watch the door. Please read the last 2 of your journal entry for our records, my cousin said, voice low and even. The notary ran a finger down the margin and said, 63. She wrote the words refusal to proceed in the narrative column and underlined present. Her pen didn't shake. She reached into her briefcase and pulled a short pre-printed form. Here is a written refusal, she said, passing it to me. It states that a signing was declined due to identity concerns. I've indicated that you were in attendance with government ID. I'll attach this to my journal entry. Thank you, I said. I slid the paper into my folder so the heading showed. I took one photo for my own file, the paper, the table, the corner of her stamp case closed, and set my phone face down again. You're ruining everything, my mother hissed. Quiet enough for bystanders, but loud enough for me. The room didn't look up. They heard coffee and keys and milk steaming. I heard the hiss and placed it next to the dinner knife from last night in my head, both pieces of flat silver that don't cut unless someone picks them up. We can rebook elsewhere, my brother said, too bright. Another notary will do it. We'll just… No, the notary said, still professional, still almost kind. You can't shop for a stamp when identity is in question. I'm recording this refusal. My journal will reflect that the owner was present and declined. Any further attempt after a recorded refusal will read as intent to evade. She closed her stamp case with a small click that sounded louder than it was. My mother tried one more time, voice pitched for sympathy. We're family, she said to the notary. You don't understand the dynamics. I understand identification, the notary said. And I understand my commission. We're done here. My cousin leaned in just enough that his shoulder brushed mine. We're good, he said under his breath. Say nothing more. I nodded. I turned to my mother, not unkind. At noon, a mobile recorder is meeting me for a trust deed, I said. If you have questions, the escrow officer has the hold and the investigation note. You can call her. I won't argue with you in a coffee shop. You won't win, my brother said. You can hold for a day. We'll move around you. I understand identification, the notary said. And I understand my commission. We're done here. He didn't know what to do with that many nouns in a row, so he lifted his hands and let them fall. The fiancée tugged her scarf higher, as if fabric could stand in for a face. You won't, I said. Title locked the prelim. Examiner has an internal note with 90 at the end. The recorder will see it. I will, I said. I tucked the strip behind the refusal form so they lived together. The witness uncrossed her arms and stood, the kind of quiet person who knows how to exit without pulling focus. My mother gathered her purse like gathering meant something. You made a scene, she said. There's no scene, I said. There's a record. I lifted my phone, opened a new message to the escrow officer, and held the camera steady for a second so the refusal heading was legible without flourish. In the subject line, I typed, attempted impersonation at 10 o'clock, proceed with hold, and hit send. The phone made the soft sound it makes when something is placed where it belongs. The coffee smell still sat in my hair when my phone lit with a call from the mobile recorder. I'm running ahead, she said. I can be at your place in 20 minutes if you want to sign before lunch. 11:15 works, I said. Kitchen table? I'll have ID in the packet. She arrived on time with a flat canvas bag and a neutral witness, a woman in a gray sweater who smiled like she'd practiced not taking sides. Government ID, the recorder said, already laying out the grant deed from me to myself as trustee, the trust summary, and a one-page affidavit of identity my lawyer had prepared. There's no scene, I said. There's a record. I lifted my phone, opened a new message to the escrow officer, and held the camera steady for a second so the refusal heading was legible without flourish. In the subject line, I typed, attempted impersonation at 10 o'clock, proceed with hold, and hit send. The phone made the soft sound it makes when something is placed where it belongs. The coffee smell still sat in my hair when my phone lit with a call from the mobile recorder. I'm running ahead, she said. I can be at your place in 20 minutes if you want to sign before lunch. I did. My cousin texted, do you need me there? And I wrote back, we're signing now, come by the counter if you want to watch it get stamped. The witness watched the way witnesses do. Hands folded, eyes on the signature lines. Sign there, the recorder said, tapping the trustee line. Initial here and here where the legal description matches the last recorded instrument. I read each clause aloud. Vesting matched the gold-sealed copy in my folder. The legal description was the same. No adjectives, just the shape of the land and the promise of how it sat on paper. I signed once, then again where the affidavit needed me to swear I was me. The recorder compared my face to the ID, nodded, and set her stamp down with the small weight of something ordinary done right. Recording fee is $96, she said. I'll walk this to the counter. Do you want to come, or do you want me to text you when I have the received? I'm coming, I said. I like the sound of stamps. We drove the short mile to the county building and moved through the metal detector with the slow ballet strangers do when everyone's carrying paper. At the recording window, the clerk from earlier glanced up and recognized my face the way clerks do by the stack in your hands. "Grant deed into trust," the recorder said, sliding the packet under the glass. "Affidavit of identity attached behind. Porch still and notary refusal included as exhibits for the file, not for imaging." The clerk looked at the vesting, the legal, the acknowledgement. "ID?" she said. We drove the short mile to the county building and moved through the metal detector with the slow ballet strangers do when everyone's carrying paper. At the recording window, the clerk from earlier glanced up and recognized my face the way clerks do by the stack in your hands. "If examiner sees the internal note, they'll call before imaging. Otherwise, you'll see the record in the system by end of day." The clerk looked at the vesting, the legal, the acknowledgement. "ID?" she said. The recorder handed my card over. The clerk compared, then turned to the stamp like she was flipping a switch. "Recording fee is $96, she said again, and I tapped my card without asking for change. The machine chimed. The clerk took the stamp up and brought it down in a square clean enough to satisfy anyone. "Received," she said. "Image will index by late afternoon." She pointed to her screen without letting me see it. "I see it," she said. "You'll get it the way you want it." On the sidewalk, the day felt brighter than it had in the coffee shop. I held the conformed copy up to the light and let the word received do its work. "Post office?" I asked the witness. "Across the street," she said, already walking. Inside, the postal worker slid 2 certified mail forms across the counter and a roll of stickers that looked like attention. 2 letters, I said. Notice of trust transfer and a demand to cease any sale efforts. One to my mother, one to my brother. "Return receipt?" he asked. "Yes," I said. "Tracking and a signature, please." $18.40 each, he said, ringing it up. He read the addresses to make sure the names were right. I signed the green cards and sealed the envelopes. He stuck the barcodes on straight, the way you do for things that might end up in a courtroom. "Tracking ends in 28, he said, tapping the first slip with his pen. He handed me the second. "And this one has 40 at the end. Keep these with your papers." "I will," I said. I tucked both slips behind the conformed copy, so the tails showed like tabs. The witness smiled, and for the first time all morning, I felt the smallest corner of something that could grow into relief after everything indexed. My phone buzzed in my palm, the office vibration again. It was the escrow officer, concise as ever. "Given hold status and trust recording underway. Do you intend to cancel the file or keep it frozen pending investigation?" "Cancel," I typed back, then called so she could hear it from my mouth. "Please close the file. Note that the trust deed is signed and at the counter. Return the buyer's deposit of $5,200. Confirm that no seller funds moved." "Understood," she said. I heard the keyboard again, the brisk kind. File status changed to canceled. Deposit will be returned to buyer per contract. No seller proceeds have been dispersed. "Do you want a written cancellation at a specific time?" "Yes," I said. "Send the cancellation notice to all parties and copy title. Make the subject line plain." I paused, then added, "If the buyer's agent calls me, I'll direct them to you." "That's best," she said. "You'll receive a confirmation within the hour." "Read me the phrasing you're using regarding the deposit," I said. She read it. Exact. "Deposit of $5,200 will be returned. Wire reversal not needed. Because funds never moved to seller. Hold file archived to the investigation." I wrote the sentence down the way she said it. We hung up politely. The kitchen was quiet enough that I could hear the clock in the hall, each second filing itself where it belonged. I set the conformed copy from the recorder on the table and ran my fingertip over the raised edge of the stamp. Received. The word kept its edge. The phone rang with my mother's name. No emojis. I let it go once and answered on the second. "You'll pay for this," she said. No greeting. Cold. Like a ledger. "I already paid," I said. $96 for recording. $18.40 for each certified notice. The trust is recorded. Any further attempts to move the property will be part of the fraud file. "You don't talk to me about fraud," she said. "You talk to me about family. Your grandmother is tired. We are simplifying. We are moving before fall. You tried to move me off the deed," I said, calm. At 10 o'clock the notary recorded a refusal to proceed. I was present with ID. At 11:15 I signed the trust deed, and the county stamped it received. Title has a cloud on title alert. Escrow is canceled. "You think pieces of paper will stop a decision already made?" she said. "We'll find someone who understands." "Clerks understand," I said. Examiners understand. The alert sits on the title file now. The internal note ends in 90. If you want to understand, you can read the certified letter when it arrives. Tracking ends in 28 for yours. You're cruel, she said, and hung up before I could decide whether cruelty was saying no or saying it evenly. I turned my phone face down and let the table be a table for 1 minute. The kettle clicked as if it had been waiting for a cue. I poured water over a tea bag and watched the color fan out. When the steam thinned, my email chimed twice in quick succession. The first was the escrow officer. Cancellation notice sent to buyer and agent. Deposit of $5,200 to be returned. No seller funds moved, she wrote. Investigation file remains open. There was a formal PDF attached. I didn't need to open it to understand what it said. The second came from title. The subject line was exactly plain. Courtesy alert, cloud on title present. The body was one sentence and a line break. Cloud on title present. No transfer without trustee signature. Under that, a small note in italics. Internal alert tails with 86. I called the rep to hear him say it, because saying and reading are different animals. Can you read the tail of your alert? I asked when he picked up. The last two are 86, he said. Examiner marked it for visibility. Any attempt to record a transfer without trustee signature will pause at intake. Thank you, I said. That's the only sentence I needed. Do you want a screen note sent to you? He asked. No, I said. A sentence is enough. I set the phone down and pulled the printer toward me so the cord didn't snag on the chair leg. The mobile recorder had forwarded a counter receipt with today's date. I printed that, and then printed the title email not to wave around, but because paper gets held up in living rooms in a way screens don't. I stapled the receipt behind the conformed copy, label up, trust recorded. The house had that after-lunch quiet, neighborhood soft, where a single car passing sounds like an announcement. Through the window I could see the porch, the same rectangle that held their shadows at 8:12 p.m. last night. I pictured the green cards riding back toward two addresses, their barcodes straight, their endings neat, 28 and 40, two little tales that would speak when I needed them to. My cousin texted, "All good?" I sent him a photo of the conformed copy and the counter receipt. The stamps legible, the edges square. Cancelled, I typed. Deposit returning. Title alert in place. Last two, 86. Hold your center, he wrote back. They'll rattle their keys at the door. I slid the printed trust receipt to the exact middle of the kitchen table and smoothed the corner so it lay flat. The lemon cleaner had faded to something like clean air. I took one breath that went all the way in, and then I waited for the knock I knew was coming. The knock came like someone who wanted a witness. I opened the door to a deputy in a tan uniform and my brother at his shoulder, jaw set for performance. The deputy tipped his chin the way professionals signal respect without giving anything away. "We've had a complaint," he said. "Property dispute. He says you've taken a house out from under the family." "I have paper," I said. I moved aside and gestured to the kitchen table where the conformed copy lay under the counter receipt. Trust deed recorded today. Received stamp is there. Escrow cancellation in process. My brother stepped in as if distance could change the ink. "She stole it," he said. "She did something with a trust after we already had an offer. Mom has a net to sell her. There's a buyer. It's illegal. It's recorded," I said. "And the offer's in a canceled file." The deputy took a careful breath and slid a notepad from his pocket. "Let's keep it simple. Do you have identification in the paper you're referencing?" I handed him my ID, the conformed copy with today's stamp, and the counter receipt from the recorder. He checked the received and nodded once, the way someone nods when a bolt seats. "Trust deed into your name as trustee," he said, reading. "Acknowledgement complete. Counter stamp is clean." "Before that," I said, "there's a notary refusal at 10 o'clock at Court Square Coffee." The notary compared faces and declined to proceed. I was present with ID. I set the short refusal form beside the trust deed, so the headings lined up. Journal entry last two are 63. The deputy read the refusal and drew a small box on his pad like he was giving the line a home. "Okay," he said. "What else do you have?" "A transcript of a porch recording at 8:12 p.m. last night," I said. My brother whispering about a wire. A woman saying, "She just signs." And an email from the escrow officer at 1:14 p.m., placing a hold. No wires, no disbursements. I handed him the printed transcript and the freeze email. He read the sentences the way deputies read when they know paper takes longer but tells the truth. He didn't rush. He read out the important words, so we both heard them. Hold, no wires, no disbursements, investigation opened. My brother laughed a little like he was auditioning for a different role. You can make anything look official, he said. We're selling before fall. Mom's already moved money around. The deputy looked up. Stop, he said. This is civil. I'm not deciding a title dispute in a kitchen. What I am doing is making an incident note that you were told to stop contacting Escrow, and that any disagreements belong in civil court. If you think you have a claim, you file it there. She shut it down, my brother said. There's a buyer, there's a deposit. The deposit is $5,200, I said. Escrow canceled the file. The buyer's agent will be notified and the deposit returned. I kept my hands open on the table so he could see they were empty. No seller funds moved. The deputy glanced at my brother, then at me. You're both adults, he said. Here's what I'm noting. He wrote as he spoke, slow enough for each word to land. Recorded trust deed reviewed. Notary refusal reviewed. Escrow freeze email reviewed. Parties advised. Contact with escrow should cease. Disputes to civil court. He paused. I'm adding a tail to our notation, so patrol can find it if you call again. It will end in 90. Read it back, I said. Incident notation tail ends in 90, he said. You can use that phrasing if someone needs to reference this visit. My brother stepped back like the air had moved. Mom is going to be furious, he said to me, almost conversational, like we were in the dessert line again. She'll say, you forced her. She can say it, I said. She can also read the certified letter when it arrives. Tracking ends in 28 for hers and 40 for yours. You'll sign for them. The deputy slid my ID and papers back across the table, edges squared. You've both been heard, he said. I'm going to ask you, he looked at my brother, to stop contacting escrow and title. Further attempts after a refusal in a recorded trust will read as intent to get around identification. That isn't wise. Take it to court if you want to judge. My brother didn't answer. He looked at the stamp again and then at the door like leaving, could unprint the word received. The deputy waited a beat, then followed him out. On the porch, the deputy wrote one more line in his pad and spoke into his shoulder mic, the way they do when they file things into the system, so the next person can find them. The house settled. The kettle clicked again even though I hadn't touched it. I put the trust deed back under the counter receipt and set the notary refusal on top, the 3 pieces forming a kind of hinge the day could swing on. By evening, the escrow officer sent one last email. File canceled. Fraud report finalized. Deposit of $5,200 being returned to buyer. No apology, no ornament. Just text that would read the same under any light. A minute later, the buyer's agent wrote a line I could hear in her voice terse, clipped. Understood. Deposit will be returned. We're moving on. That was the last sound my phone made for a while. I washed a cup, not because it was dirty, but because I wanted to do a thing that had a beginning and an end. Water ran clear, then stopped. The house had its own breathing again. I closed the safe, slid the new deed copy into a fresh sleeve, and tucked it in the space where the old one had been. The plastic made a small whisper against the metal like it recognized where it was going. I set a reminder on my calendar for 30 days out to pull a certified copy just to stand at the counter, hear the counter's thud, and know it was mine.